Okay. Hi, everyone. We'll just wait like maybe another minute or so to let people trickle in and then we'll start. Okay, let's start. Should we do some quick introductions? Okay, I'm Hannah. I'm the chair-elect for next year. Thanks for turning your cameras on. If you guys can turn your cameras on, that'd be great, by the way. And then I'll pass it off to the VCs.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Jen, and I'm the vice chairwoman-elect.
Hello, everybody. My name is Neil, and I'm the vice chairman-elect.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. I'm Rashita and I'm the next communications director-elect.
Hi, thank you all for coming. My name is Matthew Brown. I'm the programs director-elect.
Hi everyone, my name is Sahasra. I'm the development director-elect.
Awesome. And yeah, like thank you so much for coming, everyone. As you can already see, we're recording this for the folks that can't come. So yeah, just wanted to like FYI that. Also, I have captions turned on, I think. So yeah, is it working for y'all? Okay, perfect. Cool. So this is mostly just like an open floor. It doesn't have like a strict structure or anything. You guys can just ask us any questions you have, and we're here to answer them. If you want to have like the national like applications guide open on one tab, and like the forum on one side, like that can help with the conversation flow too. You already have that open. So yeah, it's an open floor. You guys can just ask us any questions you have. You don't have to direct it towards one person either. You can make it general to all of us. It's really up to you. So we're just here to support y'all and clarify. So yeah, go for it.
My first question is it's going to be a general question, but what it, what it what will your goals be for this 2024-2025 semester?
Yeah, for sure. Are you asking more directed towards like NAT staff or just in general?
Just general.
Okay, yeah. So this is more for NAT staff, but we're still happy to answer that if you guys are still thinking of your questions. Good with y'all. Okay. So in terms of like the chair side of things, this is part of my platform too, but I'm really focused on pioneering something called Battleground Buddies, and I think I've shared that with many of y'all already. But basically, it's pairing up those non-competitive races and states with competitive ones, just so everyone feels engaged and involved throughout the entire like 2024 election process. Because going into this 24-25, which is also season 20 of HSCA, anniversary is coming up, exciting stuff. I really do want to focus on, securing that victory in the upcoming election. So a lot of my platform is centered around that. And a lot of the work I'll be doing with eBoard and all of you, hopefully, maybe, will also be kind of centered around that as well. And then also, of course, like also finances. Yeah, lots of exciting things coming for finances as well. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
Hey, Hannah, I can ask the next question.
Oh, sure. I was just waiting on another e-board member to answer the first question, but
Oh, I'm so sorry.
you're good.
It's okay. I can go. So I guess for communications, yeah, a bunch of the stuff was also hit on in my platform, but I really want to increase like member incorporation in the beginning of the year, whether that be through offering different ways for members to like ask questions and interact with the e-board through like Instagram stories or other platforms. I also really want to expand our platform outreach. So instead of just keeping it on Instagram and then sometimes like when we need to on YouTube. I really want to expand to like X and TikTok, because obviously those two apps have different audiences than what the apps we are currently using now are able to reach out to. And yeah, I also want to really, this was another big part of my platform, but make sure that there's like a routine developed within Instagram posts. So there's kind of like something that members are like looking forward to or can expect to see every month. So something I really want to introduce this year is like spotlighting different politicians or activists or like spotlighting different causes and bills every month. And I have a few other ideas. There's some like new events I want to spearhead with programs, obviously. But yeah, there's again a lot coming this year, so super excited. I guess Jen and Neil, one of you guys or both of you can go next.
Yeah, so to start us off, I'm really happy to see a lot of familiar faces on this call. Hopefully, you guys are planning to apply to NAT staff. But I think this year, in this really great pool that we have, we're really hoping to look for people that are communicative and really reliable, because I know, especially for regional directors and some of the roles that Neil and I will be overseeing, this is going to be a really important year for not only expansion, but making sure that we maintain good relationships with our state chapters. So if you're really good on communication, you're a reliable leader, we really hope you apply. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest alignment with our goals is someone who can really help us maintain good relationships with the really great chapters that we already have. Neil, any thoughts?
You covered it perfectly. Just kind of add something about our rural and red areas coordinator. That's a new position that we're adding this year. A big part of both Jen and mine's platform was ensuring that we have that expansion to local areas, rural areas, red states, to make sure that they're actually involved in the election process. So that's something that we're very excited about implementing. But yeah, we would be glad to see anyone apply for that.
And then in terms of sort of the programming side, we're going to have a lot of fun and informative events, especially in the next couple of months, because we have an election to win. So a lot of our positions on national staff this year will be focused on, securing those victories up and down the ballot, whether it's, directly as a campaigns director, focusing on those outreach to political campaigns, our partnerships director, working with other organizations, especially. And then, we have a couple other positions, whether it's task forces coordinator, or legislative and advocacy director, and of course, our important job as summit director. Programs is going to have a lot of work to do this year, and we're definitely going to be expecting a lot of our national staffers, but you're going to be able to get a lot out of this year for programs.
Yeah, and then so from a development side, I think the main thing that we're really going to focus on is making sure that we can find fundraisers and donors early. And a big part of this is being able to organize in-person donor events, which seems like a long shot, but I think that's something that we should really try, as well as kind of ensuring that our finance committee remains active with cold emailing and making sure that we really have the finances that we need to be able to reach out to youth this upcoming election cycle. And then from a data end, I just really want to make sure that we improve our accuracy and kind of maintain and update our local chapters map, kind of ensuring that we have reliable resources for HSDA members at all levels to be able to access and see demographic data, who's joining, and kind of be able to streamline that.
Perfect. Okay. Any other questions? Also, I just dropped the link in the chat for the guide if you want to pull that up.
Yeah, okay. So can I ask the next question?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I was interested in the legislative and advocacy part of the NAT staff, specifically endorsing like policies in our Congress that we can promote on our HSDA platform. So my question is for like our agenda, like let's say for gun violence prevention, we already have like specific policies that we already endorse. So is it okay if we look for other policies that we can also add, or do you want like let's say this role to be branching out to other issues in the Democratic Party?
Yeah, I can take that one. So the Legend Advocacy Director will be in the partnerships team, or not the partnerships team, the programs team this year. It'll be a new position. Definitely, we released our platform and we released sort of our legislative endorsements in the last term. Of course, though, like a lot of those pieces of legislation were from the last Congress or the current Congress now. And then a lot of pieces in our platform, it's very comprehensive, but there's always room to grow. So what I would be looking for is somebody who is able to sort of be able to focus on the sort of agenda and the policies that we've laid out in our current platform, but also somebody who is able to, look forward and find new pieces of legislation and new sort of policy initiatives to get involved in and to sort of expand HSDA's outreach.
Also, I just wanted to quickly pop in. So this meeting is gonna go until 4:30 PST. I'll need to add that 4:30 PST, just to make sure we are respectful of everyone's times and everything. But if you do have further questions, which we are anticipating, feel free to reach out to us via email, Slack, right? But yeah, I hope that answered your question, Josh. Thank you, Matthew.
Could I ask my question as well? Hi. So my question was you guys as well. Sorry if I'm taking up too much space. I have two questions. So the first question is, with this election cycle coming, do you expect a lot of the roles to be integrated with each other on the NAT staff, or more like separated as per what the guidelines say?
I think I might be able to answer that one. Oh man, I'm sorry. I think this year when we were designing the application guide, we really put a lot of thought into the job descriptions and the way that we were trying to present them, specifically so that certain roles would be geared towards certain e-board members and their respective goals as well, just to keep things a little more organized. So say you were working with Neil and I, you'd be doing a lot of work pertaining to the goals that, national committee, et cetera, regions do. But if you work with Matthew on programming, that's going to be a lot of what you do as well. So I think it will be a little bit more separated just for organization's sake. But we really did hope to write the job descriptions to really reflect that. So hopefully that answers your question. But I think it will be pretty much matched to what you see on the app guide.
All right, thank you. You just integrated the answer to my second question as well perfectly. So thank you.
I guess this is kind of like a general question just for the e-board in general. I was wondering what is like the number one quality you're looking for a NAT staff member?
I think it really depends on each position. But I think like this might be a cliche, but just be yourself, TBH, and if you vibe with us, you vibe with us, But yeah, I think if you, which I'm sure you already did, but if you read through the application guide, like you'll kind of get a sense of like what kind of person we're looking for. But I think there are just like some traits that we all can agree on, like proactivity, being on top of things without being asked to do things like all the time. Really good communication. I think I'm just kind of explaining what I'm looking for, but I think Ivor can also agree to those traits. So, and also just being a good person. Like we got to vibe with you too. So, does anyone else on Ivor want to add to that?
Kind of looking at like specifically our vice chair, board position specifically on like regional director, national comms, and our RRAC, the new position, rural and red states areas. We're very much looking for someone who has experience in these positions within their local state chapters and understand the dynamics of their region or of rural and red state areas or of national committee. People who really kind of have had that touch with their community and understand what exactly that region needs for development and further implementation, and really building up different areas within the region. Communication is going to be a very big factor as well, because, for example, for regional director, you will be serving as kind of a liaison between us, national, and our different local and state areas. So communication is a very big factor. Understanding of your area is very important. But that's what, if Jen wants to add a little bit more, that's kind of generally what we're looking for.
Yeah, I think aside from experience, the biggest thing that I know I'm really looking for in application is knowing that you can be someone that's really reliable. This is a really big organization. There are a lot of people that are involved, and it's an election year. So it's a really important cycle. And that goes to say that we're looking for someone who I can really count on, who I can, if you say you're going to do something, I know that you're going to go through with it and that I can really trust your word. In terms of work ethic, just someone who can keep on top of their stuff. And I know we're not all perfect. We're all high school students that are probably leading very busy lives. So as long as you're a good communicator, I think you won't have a problem at all.
I have a general question kind of pertaining to the process in general. So I heard Hannah, Jen, and Neil all talk about communication. So I was wondering how the interview process is going to work, just for every position after the preliminary form stage.
Yeah, I can take this one. Okay, so basically a rundown. So after the stage one, we call it stage one and stage two. After stage one closes, so the application process closes, there's like a few days in between. Let me pull up the guide. Okay, so it closes on August 22nd. From the 23rd to the 27th, all of eBoard's going to do a really comprehensive application review. Just make sure we're reading all the applications, taking any notes we have. And then after that, on August 28th, we're going to send out a notification to all the candidates that we want to interview. So if you were not chosen to move on to the interview stage, you won't be getting emailed, to be clear. And then we'll clearly communicate that as well, in addition to this. So if you move on, you'll get that notification. And then we move on to stage two, after all of interview scheduling and all of that. And it's just like the typical interview process. You'll meet with one of us, maybe a couple more of us. We might hop around, but for the most part, probably just one of us. And then after that, like 1 week-ish process, we'll be announcing on the 9th. Does that kind of clarify?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Marcus.
Hi, so I apologize if you answered this question already, and I'm like re-asking it. I joined a little bit late. I was just wondering, so for deciding who moves on to the interview stage, are the e-board looking at the applications like as a group, or do each of the positions in which they have to like refer to that member of the e-board? Is that the e-board member that's deciding? I don't know if that makes sense.
I can take this one. So, mainly the person who's going to be looking over your application in the stage one stage is the person who we had like listed as the contact for those like specific positions, like around like 2 to 5 positions. So yeah, they mainly are going to be looking over, and you're also going to be getting an email from them if you moved on to stage two. Like the person that is leading your position that you're applying to, you're going to be getting the email from them to move on to the stage two. And obviously if any board member like wants another set of eyes or any help with like going over an application, like a specific application, we obviously can like call upon each other, but it is mainly the position that is listed under the position that you're applying to.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
I have a question about the regional director position. I know I was looking through the voting records like earlier this week, and I know Parker, who's in this call right now, proposed a redrawing of the regions, and I was wondering if Parker's proposition passes, it would lower the amount of regional directors to 8. And so if it does pass, will you be will you consider will you be I would you take that into your consideration as you appoint new different regional directors?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that question. It's obviously something that people can be worried about. Right now, we are still taking it as is, as it was last year, using those regions. But something different about regional directors this year is that we used to have 2 per region, and this year we're trying to cut down a little bit on a team. So it's going to be 1 director per region. So we're looking at 5 nationally. So we're going to be a little more careful when we choose people, just making sure that they can really handle the workload, because they will be taking on a little bit more than regional directors did last year. In terms of Parker's amendment, once that passes through NatCom and we solidify it at eBoard, we'll take it as is. But for now, I don't think that will have too much of an impact on how we choose regional directors today.
That was perfectly summarized. But adding on to that, because I got this question outside of this call, about like why we're cutting down on regional directors. So this year, of course, like one of my biggest goals was funding. And I'm really hoping to fundraise enough and save enough so that we can provide official HSD emails for every single NAT staffer. And in order to do that, we needed to cut down a little bit. So that's also one reason why. So I hope that clarifies. You can go. Or maybe that hand is from earlier, Marcus.
Hi. So basically, I have another question. So, and I understand this is kind of broad, but what like broad or general qualities are you guys looking for whenever you're looking at the different applications?
I can take this one. So definitely, as somebody who served on NAT staff last year, and I think these are definitely qualities that we are going to continue to look for, bridging over from last year to this year. A NAT staffer definitely needs to be somebody who is able to be creative and to work independently while also working in a team. I know that's sort of an oxymoron. But in that staff, you get a lot of opportunities to come up with your own ideas and strategies and work independently, but you also need to ensure that those align with the goals of your team, your smaller team, led by your e-board member, and then HSDA's e-board and our organization as a whole. We're also looking for people who are definitely able to commit for the entire year and commit for the workload that NAT staff is. Definitely, there are off seasons on NAT staff. There's a lot of time where there's less work. There's a lot of time where there's more work. We just need to make sure that our NAT staffers, especially again, just with the election coming up and a lot of important events, national staff definitely needs to be able to be creative, to be proactive, and to have good time commitment.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
And then I just wanted to add on. So tying back to what Matthew said, time commitment. This also ties back to, I think it might have been Lauren's question. It was about like what we're looking for in that stuff. But yeah, time commitment is also a really big thing. That's one of the earlier questions on the application. You need to be able to prioritize HSDA. It should be like among your top 3, if not your top 1, right? If that's okay. Oh, wait, are you still here? Okay, but yeah. Any other questions?
Amanda? Oh,
Yeah, I was looking at the legislative and advocacy director position, and I was wondering if there could like be some more clarification on the first question. Like when talking about legislation, is it like talking about like some kind of policy you'd like to see implemented? Like let's say abortion rights for all women in the United States, given that, it's banned in some states? Like, would that be an example?
Yeah, so definitely in that question, I think we wrote it geared more towards current pieces of legislation, whether it be on a state level or a national level. So talking sort of like on the example of abortion, you could talk about the Women's Health Protection Act and sort of things that that bill does and different ways that HSDA can work to promote that bill.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question about the summit director position. The guide mentions the regional summits. Could you guys give me a little more details about like what those entail and how they differ from the national summit?
Yeah, so obviously the summit director position is obviously going to be focused on our national summit. There's a lot of work that goes into that, the national summit and working to sort of coordinate that. But obviously we are always open for regions, different states, and even sort of local communities to host their own summits. I think Kentucky did a summit last year. I'm not sure if we had any regional summits. So in supporting those other summits besides National Summit, you would just sort of be a resource for the different, whether it be the regional directors, the state chairs, the local chapter leaders, and sort of advising them on how best to organize the summit, different fundraising techniques and different sort of events.
Gotcha. So those summits aren't like set events, they're just whenever the region wants to do them, correct? Gotcha. Thank you.
But I'll add that this year, you may already know this, but it used to be Summit Coordinator. In changing the name to Summit Director, we're also expecting that whoever gets this new position will kind of spearhead those regional/local/state summits. Even if they aren't like completely planning on it, they should be able to, be proactive and reach out and be like, hey, we should try this out sort of situation. So yeah.
I have a question about the relationship between eBoard and Nat staff and NatCom. So if a certain part of like so like if like a Nat staffer needs something to be approved by NatCom, will they be able to have that like access to NatCom to ask NatCom members to sponsor like resolutions and anything that NatCom passes to support their work in Nat staff?
Yeah, so something that also happened last year was we had a regional director attending our NatCom meeting so they can kind of look at the resolutions that are being proposed and work on resolutions as well and introduce ideas. So by allowing for that kind of connection and allowing the regional director to have that access to the national committee, they will be able to, talk with national committee members and see what type of resolutions they can work on. That's something that we're planning to continue throughout this year. And obviously, we're going to have the national committee coordinator on that staff. So that'll be another big factor in kind of looking at the resolutions that we can work on within national committee.
Perfect. Okay, so we are at 4:29 PST, last minute. So if you guys want to ask any last minute questions, now's your chance. But you can always like reach out to us via email, like I said before. So
I have another question about the national summit.
yeah.
As you guys know, this year it was in August, and that made it kind of tricky because Congress was in recess. For next year, is there any consideration that it could be moved to June or July?
TBD, but probably.
Okay.
Okay, last question. Go for it. Alicia. Okay, never mind. Does anyone else have any pressing questions? Awesome. Okay. Can someone on eBoard drop our email in the chat? Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. Just seeing you here already shows that you have initiative. We notice you, we hear you. So yeah, best of luck. We're always here if you have any questions or need anything else from us. And we'll probably be posting on Slack and Instagram if there are any updates or changes, but probably not. So yeah, have a good evening.